King Goodwill Zwelithini, the longest reigning monarch in South Africa, ascended to the throne in 1971 after the death of his father, King kaBhekuzulu Solomoni. He became the 8th monarch of the Zulu kingdom. His grandfather, the infamous King Shaka kaSenzangakhona, forged one of the most recognized empires, AmaZulu, on the continent. During his brief reign, more than 100 chieftains were brought together to become one kingdom. In the earlier years on the throne, the king, then in his 20s, quietly led his subjects while being groomed further. And while he remained non-partisan, the political climate at the time made it difficult for him to avoid being drawn into politics. The black majority were pushing back against the oppressive apartheid system, and in KwaZulu-Natal the situation had taken a turn for the worst. In the 80s, the monarch was drawn into controversy over the state of the then KwaZulu and the government's plans for it to become a fully independent homeland. South Africa was on the brink of a new era, preparing to usher in democracy. The late former President Nelson Mandela met with the king on several occasions over the situation in KwaZulu-Natal. This led to the two forming a strong bond. In a speech delivered by President Mandela at the king's 50th birthday, he paid tribute to the militant anti-colonialist struggles of the Zulu royal house, a legacy which he said dated back to the days of kings like Shaka. Mandela praised the monarch for his refusal to collaborate with the apartheid authorities when the then Bantustan policy was introduced. The two continued to work together in the early 90s to quell the political violence that had spread across the province and claimed thousands of lives.
My message to those of you involved in this battle of brother against brother is this: take your guns, your knives, and your pangas and throw them into the sea.
Throughout the years, the king continued to work with and support the government. At times, he was the voice of reason. Government saw the king as key to peace, stability, growth and development in the province. Government and political party leaders kept him abreast of important developments in the province and country.
And Your Majesty, we are going to work very hard to forge the unity that you so want to see in the ANC, the unity that the majority of our people so dearly want to see.
As the EFF, we recognize traditional leadership. As the EFF, we are ready to work with the traditional leadership, and we're officially also introducing ourselves. We've handed over our presence. We received a beautiful counseling from the king, because he's not just the king, he's our father, he's our elder.
As the custodian of Zulu heritage and culture, some of King Goodwill Zwelithini's biggest milestones were reviving old age traditional ceremonies. He merged cultural norms with the modern way of life. In the early 2000s, when the HIV and AIDS pandemic ravaged the country, KwaZulu-Natal became the epicenter of the disease. Government scrambled to get the situation under control. The king took a leading role in the fight against HIV and AIDS. In 2009, he announced that he would be reviving male circumcision and that he wanted the procedure to be conducted at health facilities.
But his main contribution to me, which is a legacy that is known all over the world, where he made a very prominent announcement that the male circumcision revived, but he would like it done medically. Why is he saying that? His Majesty went on to say this culture was taught by our king, King Shaka, 200 years ago, because King Shaka did not want men who were not available to fight the wars of resistance, the dispossession of our land, and therefore he needs all men to be available and ready to fight the wars. He then stopped this culture. Our king, our reigning king, then said, we have a new war, a war against HIV and AIDS. And the king went on to say, I'm informed that men, if they are circumcised, have a 50% reduction chance of transmitting a virus from themselves to their partners.
The king's decision made global headlines and received commendation from international bodies such as the World Health Organization.
We never had a single man or a boy who died through this culture from the time we started in 2010 until in May of 2018, when we announced to our king that we have circumcised 1 million men.
But he didn't stop there. He also supported the revival of the controversial practice of virginity testing for young girls and the annual reed dance ceremony where young maidens present reeds to the king as a sign of their purity. For the king, the ceremony was more than just discouraging sexual activity, but an opportunity to interact with young girls and instill moral values. Each year, the event was held with a theme that would address current issues in the country.
He provides a platform for them to have a voice. They address His Majesty on that platform, and besides that, it keeps them together. But if we go deep into the purpose and the objective of Umhlanga, Umhlanga is part of moral regeneration, because when he's there, he addresses them and he also advises them on how they should live their lives, and besides that, they have a chance to be introduced to Zulu culture.
And in keeping the heritage alive, Welembe, a traditional event that honors the life and legacy of King Shaka as the founder of the Zulu nation, became an annual commemoration.
What he has done, he revived history. You will recall that we have King Shaka's Day, which he started to commemorate Ilembe, Elekwa Manyamalembe Khalipa, who was the founder of the Zulu nation. And besides that, that commemoration has spread throughout the country. The whole South Africa celebrated 24th of September, and it is through him. And that celebration alone, it brings people of all walks, Zulus and non-Zulus, even people from Swaziland, Mpumalanga, and all over, even from the Eastern Cape, they do come and attend this ceremony. So he is a unifier.
The king's reign, though, was not without controversy. At times, he came under fire for statements that he made during his public events. The king was known for speaking his mind. The Human Rights Commission was called upon several times to investigate the king for homophobic comments and even hate speech. The monarch also faced much scrutiny and criticism for his lavish lifestyle. The KZN government will annually allocate millions of rands to the royal household to support the king and his family. King Goodwill Zwelithini no doubt leaves a lasting legacy. I am Mhlongo, SABC News, Durban.